For many of us, especially in the Asian American community, we were given a fairly straightforward playbook. Work hard, get good grades, go to college, and find a stable career, and you will be set for life. But what happens when the world changes so dramatically that even the experts aren't sure what comes next? Today, I'm joined by Dr. Christopher Hoang. He's the Director of Technology Services at the Los Angeles County Office of Education, where he supports more than 80 school districts and nearly 2 million students. As both a technology leader and a father, Christopher sits at the intersection of education, innovation, and parenting. And in this conversation, we explore how artificial intelligence is reshaping the future of work and learning, what skills our children will need to thrive, and why many of us need to rethink the parenting strategies that we inherited. We talk about perfectionism, communication, creativity, and the courage that it takes to raise children in a future that none of us can fully predict. Let's dive in. Dr. Hoang, I want to thank you so much to certainly share your incredible expertise with us. I'm looking forward to digging into AI.
Yeah, so am I. I appreciate you giving me an opportunity. Lindsay, this is a great, I think just all the work you do, everything you push for, everything you're trying to articulate resonates very much with me, especially in the Asian culture in particular, just growing up the way I was. It's always refreshing to find people who are willing to reach out, ask for help, ask for advice,
Yeah.
because I wasn't necessarily taught that way growing up.
Yeah, no, that totally tracks. It really resonates, and I can completely understand this sort of reluctance to ask for help. I want to do something. We obviously you are an incredible expert when it comes to technology implementation across a gigantic. I mean, what is it? 80 school districts across LA
Yep.
County. We definitely want to tap into that, and we have so many parents who listen to this podcast, and I'd love to vacillate between Dr. Hoang, the expert, the tech expert, and Christopher, the dad,
Yep.
if that's
Yeah,
okay with you.
absolutely. Yeah.
Certainly when it comes to AI, because I know that there are so many parents out there who are just eager to understand, how do I best prepare for this uncertain context? And then how do I also work with schools to best prepare my children for this uncertain context?
I mean, those are valid questions. As a dad myself, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like being honest, it's scary because I think for me growing up, I was told, hey, you go to school, you go to college, you get a degree, you get a job, and then you're set for life, the typical pattern. And now it's like the professional in me realizes that model doesn't work anymore.
Yeah. I mean, it's so true, right? Like I feel like generally speaking, the Asian American community, we have doctor, lawyer, engineer, right?
Yep,
Or
yep,
it's
yep.
go to college, get a stable job, establish financial stability. And for my parents, it was stick with that one company for 30 years and then retire. And that just doesn't seem like that's
It's,
the
it's it,
path
it it
anymore.
doesn't work that way anymore. And
Yeah.
I think even for me, is I've only been the longest I've been in any school setting or any organization is 6 years.
Yeah.
And that's just because
Yep.
at some point in time, I'm okay understanding it's like, hey, I've learned my time is done. It's time to move on. Let's look at the next journey. It's scary, and I think for me, my parents, my mom especially, they immigrated from Vietnam during right after the war. So it's like they know what they know in terms of, hey, get that job, secure, take care of the family, and you should be good for life. But
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not happening for our kids anymore, and that's what scares me for my daughter. It's like, oh, I don't know what advice I can give you because it's one of those my mom told me, "Get the degree, go to
Yeah.
college, get all that," and now I can't tell my daughter that.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely, a mom to 3 little ones, and I feel the exact same way. Speaking of advice, and I'm wondering, Dr. Huang, if you would be willing to speak directly to the parent listening right now. If that there's a parent sitting listening who is anxious, even feeling behind, unsure what to do in this context of uncertainty and AI, if they take everything that you are going to share with us today, what do you think becomes possible for them and for their kids?
I think if they take everything into account, what I share or what we discussed today, it's the hope is it opens up their mind that there's more opportunities actually being presented down the line, even though there's a lot of unknown and uncertainty. I think that's the best part of it all. It's now the opportunities actually expand if you really think about it. It's like because I don't know what's out there, I may not be able to prep for it.
Yeah.
But if I'm flexible enough and I'm willing to, the doors will open up even more for me because now there's so many different opportunities that are coming.
And that flexibility, it feels like that's a key component here. I've even heard some people say you have to be more entrepreneurial in this new context. One of the things that I at Courage Class we admire so much is that you definitely work inside of a gigantic school system. So you are the director of technology for over 80 school districts across LA County. You work for the LA County Office of Education. And inside of this system, I think that most people would agree that it is certainly navigating enormous change
Yeah.
in this context. Can you just give us a
Yeah.
peek behind the curtain? What is it like to sit in the role that you have right now, both as an expert and as a parent? You started to allude to that certainly in your previous answer, but I wonder if we could just give that its own airtime.
Yeah. And I think for me, I think the perspective is because I have a seat at the table
Mm-hmm.
and I am a dad, I can think, okay, what would my daughter want? And because of the way I was raised, I can go, okay, what would make it make sense for my mom? And how do I bridge the gap between that two? And once I bridge those gap, that like me being slightly selfish, that's me taking care of my needs first. And I know, and
Mm-hmm.
for me as an Asian person, it's like we want to take care of everyone else first, but
Yeah.
sometimes we have to take care of ourselves. And by taking care of my personal needs, that now gives me that flexibility or that ability to think, okay, now that I've addressed how can I do this for my daughter and how can I do this for my mom,
Mm.
how do I expand this so that when we support, I think we support about 2 million students. When we support all 2 million students, what makes the most sense? How do we be flexible and malleable enough that if we need to change something for a student that lives in, let's say, Lancaster versus a student in Long Beach, how do we
Yeah.
make sure it's flexible enough that we can meet their specific needs and not neglect the other needs of Long Beach? Like, how do we make sure everyone's taken care of as best as possible?
Yeah, yeah, no, that's such a great question. I mean, how on a day to day do you make those decisions? Because those are, if you don't live in LA County, those are dramatically different demographics. One is literally right next to the sea, and the other one is more inland. And so, just even weather-wise,
Yeah.
it can be different. So, could you share with us how what does that look like on a day to day?
So on a day to day, I meet with a lot of people. Like
Okay.
these, you use the term expert, and I'm going to take that term backwards a little bit. I don't allow anyone on my team to call themselves experts.
Oh,
I replace it with the term more experience because everyone has experience. It's just who has more or who has less, and how do we get to the same level?
okay.
And so I may have more experience than the typical person when it comes to the use of AI, but that doesn't mean I'm not listening. So I do a lot of meetings, whether it's with vendors, whether it's with others at the county office of ed, whether it's with the schools or even with parents or even students. I listen to everything they're saying and I try to synthesize what their end goal is because ultimately everyone wants the same thing. They want to make sure, even the students, they want to make sure that they're being taken care of
Mm,
and that they're still being challenged as individuals. And
yeah.
so how do we make sure that happens? So from a day-to-day basis, it's a lot of meetings, a lot of talking, a lot of just learning from folks and what they're doing, how they're doing it, what they want to see more of, what they want to see less of. And it becomes this balance where it's like, okay, for me, it's like I don't want to dictate and tell people what to do. What I would prefer is like, hey, these are different things you can do. Figure out the one that makes the most sense for you. And I think I take
Mm,
that personally because of the way I did college. Is I know it sounds bad, but I was on academic probation 2
mhm,
semesters in a year,
mhm.
two quarters in a row. And the reason I was there is because I was going to become like you joked about this. I was trying to become a doctor. Right? I
Oh,
went to a university that specialized in biology that was sent a lot of students to pre med or to medical school. And so for me, I didn't know about all the other options out there.
mm,
Like once I got to college, I'm like, oh, there's more than a lawyer, there's more than a doctor, there's more than an engineer, there's all these other careers, all these other opportunities. So I try to take a little bit of everything. And when I meet with folks, I'm like, okay, tell me about your experience. Oh, that's cool. I've heard about this person over here doing something similar, but in a different way. Did you know about that? And then we start having those discussions so we can expand our minds.
yeah. Yeah, no, I think you said a couple of incredible things. First of all, I heard you say the word listening several times.
Yeah.
And it feels as though if I just am even to place myself in a parenting role, like I have 3 kids, right? Like just listening to each and every single person and I'm trying to understand like what does each child need when it
Mhm.
comes to AI, when it comes to technology adoption, trying to understand sort of the overall context of what we are all trying to achieve. It is a balancing act as a parent and leader. I'm wondering if we could go actually into your home, because you mentioned your daughter. What does AI actually look like in your home right now? Can you just tell us, so maybe we want to emulate what's going on in the experts?
So there's a couple of different ways of doing this.
Okay.
For me, with my daughter, she is 12. She's going into middle school next year.
Okay.
I do limit how much technology she uses.
Okay.
It's intentional.
Okay.
I think I don't know how my parents did it. My mom and stepdad had 5 kids. I don't know how they did it. Now, and I'm not going to blast anyone on their parenting style. It's hard. Being a parent's hard. But one thing I do try to focus, I'm going to go with the big picture, is I want my daughter to get bored.
Okay.
I want her to get bored, because when you're bored, it forces you to use your imagination. It forces you to be creative. It forces you to get critical thinking. She doesn't need to be in front of a TV or a video game station or in front of an iPad the entire time. I want her to be bored. Without being bored, well, first and foremost, they're like, oh, if I need something, it's just instantaneous gratification. I don't want her having that. I want to balance that out. So when it comes to that, once she gets bored enough or she learns, my daughter will go and start drawing. She'll start coloring. She'll start doing other things and remove the screen time. So I try to balance screen time with that. But on the other side, when it does come to screen time or technology, is I'm sitting with her and I'm working with her and helping her understanding. And she's teaching me and helping me understand her side. So we use AI. Gemini is one of the ones that I use, and we'll create images. I'll sit and like, hey, let's talk about your day. Let's talk about images that you want to talk. And I'll ask AI, hey, can you create an image of a kid doing, swinging on a swing?
Wow.
And then I'll ask her, and it'll generate. I'm like, okay, does this look like what happened today? And then she'll articulate and she'll talk, and she's like, no, that's not what happened. I'm like, okay, your turn to type. Tell it what happened today and see what gets generated. So now she's starting to verbalize her thoughts, see it in image form, and it helps her open up her mind and helps her get, for me, this is a part of like the teacher in me. It's like it forces her to critically think about what she's saying, as opposed to just saying, like there are times at the dinner times, like, how was school today? Fine. What happened? Same thing as every day. But if I put her in front of a computer and have her create a story and draw images, way different. And I'm watching her do it, and she's learning how to creatively use it.
Wow.
As opposed to just, I'm just going to have it type up an essay type of thing.
That's incredible. I was putting teacher hat on myself, and I was like, oh my God, I would totally do that lesson with my own students, like in the classroom. That it's incredible. There's so many incredible things that you're doing with your daughter. One, like you're forcing her to really cultivate those critical and creative thinking skills, but you're also at the same time teaching her how to leverage AI as sort of a support tool, as opposed to like doing it for her. And I think that that's so incredible on so many different like learning levels. Can I ask you, has there ever been a rule about AI or even technology that you later changed your mind about? Because you mentioned like the tug of war, or you didn't say those aren't your words. Those are my words. Tug of war for sure in my house.
Yeah. I think the biggest change that happened for me is I was very strict on X amount of minutes for your screen, and that's it. And then so how that's evolved is it comes into 2 different buckets now. Are you using it to create, or are you using it to consume? So if I'm using the device just to watch videos, to watch YouTube shorts, to watch Instagram, and that's it, then I limit that time. But if I'm going to use it to build stuff in, let's say, Minecraft, like building a world or building things for school or creating or doing research or doing something that changes it, then you have unlimited time.
Oh my gosh.
It's are you consuming it or creating it? And if my daughter is really creating stuff, I'm not going to say, oh, your time's up. Gotta give me back the iPad. Yeah.
Absolutely. Is there anything you worry about when it comes to AI, like with your daughter?
Yeah, always. I think
Always. Okay.
always. And I think the biggest thing is how fast AI is moving is my biggest fear as a parent. It's like it's moving so fast. It's like I don't know everything. Like, and that's the hardest part being a parent. It's like you always want to know everything when you can't. And my biggest fear is her uploading, like it's that term is like once it's on the internet, it's on the internet forever. And I'm afraid like she might accidentally put her full name or her birthday or something in there without realizing it. And now her data's out there, her information's out there for the world. Or the other part is just thinking from a teacher side, and I'm seeing this a lot more, is what did they take my daughter's face and superpose it onto an image of a naked woman?
Oh, yes.
Right? The cyber, like getting cyberbullied and things like that. So that's where I'm concerned, because I mean, growing up, people did that, but they did it with magazines,
Yep. Yep.
right? And
Yep.
now they have technology that can just go ahead and generate it and be like, can you take this head and put it on top of
Right.
a,
Yeah.
yeah,
Whatever. Yeah. No, no, that's a huge fear of mine. Just, someone, whether it's your face or your voice or your
yep,
likeness just being used for evil purposes, I think, or for bullying,
yeah.
in a school context. That's something that parents are really fearing. Do you have any recommendations of how would I navigate that conversation with my kids? I mean, my 7-year-old already he asked me there, Mommy, you would just ask Chat GPT. And I was
Yeah.
like, what? Just ask
Yeah.
Chat GPT. I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
So
And I think that's us teaching them. Like it's you're going to have to teach them how to use it appropriately.
okay.
And just in the world, there's always going to be bad actors, and there's nothing we can do about that.
Yeah.
But it's also teaching our or my daughter or your kid, hey, you're a good human being. That's a one first and foremost. So we want you to be a good human being, and being part of being a good human being means you're doing things to help people, not
Mhm.
hurt people.
Okay.
And so there's people that are going to be out there that may try to hurt you. And like, there's nothing I can do. Like, I will protect you as a parent as much as I can. And I need you to realize that sometimes people put things out there that aren't true. And all you can do is let the character of yourself define it. So don't let the voice, all that noise get to you.
I love how you say it as noise,
Yeah.
and you're very explicit also with
Yeah.
your language.
Yeah.
It's like you're not sugarcoating anything. There's good people and there's bad
Yeah.
actors as
Yeah.
well. So it's something to be aware of. So as an educator
Mhm.
myself, I understand why districts and schools are moving what feels Dr. Huang like they're more cautious. And I think
Yep.
that our industry, we are known to adapt technology at a slower rate than maybe the business or other different
Mhm.
industries. What guidance as a parent can I expect right now from schools? Um, Also knowing that I know schools have to move cautiously because we want to know what the impact is on kids before we actually start giving it to them. Um,
Yeah, that's the big question everyone asks, and I think the first
yeah.
and foremost I would do as a parent, and I've done this with my daughter's own schools, like, what is your AI plan?
Oh, yes.
And that's the first and foremost question. If they say they don't have one, then I would ask, when do you plan on having one, and what should it entail, and can I help be part of that?
This is what you're asking of schools. This
And
is what
that's
a
why I'm
parent
asking
should
my
be.
daughter's school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Because that's the first and foremost. I've seen a lot of things nationally, globally, just getting all the research, all the data. A lot of schools still don't have something for AI.
Yeah.
And if we don't acknowledge that elephant in the room, if we don't acknowledge that AI is here,
Hmm. Hmm.
then my experience as a teacher is like I'm not going to use it because one, it's I don't know if I'm allowed to use it. Two, if I do use it, am I going to get in trouble?
Yeah.
And three, if I do use it and I'm not going to get in trouble, what does that mean for everyone else or my students? So it's like how if we don't have a plan in place or we don't have acknowledgement of it, then how can we ensure that our students are being taken care of in that regard on the educational side?
So it sounds like you are really encouraging parents to take up that
Mhm.
conversation and to not be because I admit, okay, so here's where I'm going to bring the very Asian component, and maybe
Mhm.
I'm just being an Asian American woman projecting into this conversation, but I have learned that schools, they are the ultimate authority, and
Mhm.
to challenge the hierarchy, what feels like could be a challenging conversation is very intimidating to me. But what I hear you saying is very different.
Yeah.
It's to
It,
actually pursue that
yeah.
conversation.
Because by pursuing that conversation, it opens up that door that it's okay to talk about. Because, like you
Oh,
said, we're a little bit more cautious in education. We've seen this year after year, whether it was Google, whether it was
yes,
Wikipedia, whatever it was, we've seen it year every single time.
yes.
We're a little bit slower. But if parents open up that door and ask that question, then it becomes on the radar of the school.
Okay.
Otherwise, schools have a lot to deal with, like a school admin, a teacher, they already have a lot to deal with. Where is it, are my kids taken care of? Are they fed? Are they okay? Are they being taken care of at home? Or do I need to take care of them here? What do I need to do to provide for my students first and foremost?
Yeah.
And so sometimes that conversation's lost in the background. But
Oh,
if you ask that question, at least it starts to open up that door. And maybe if you don't want to go to school first, I would talk to your fellow friends that have kids going to school. It's like, hey, is Johnny doing anything with AI that you know of, or do you know if his teacher is doing anything with AI? Or does Sally have anything going on with AI? Or do you know? And then get that conversation going. It's like, have any of us talked to the school about that? And
Yeah.
then that's where you can build, I don't say a coalition, but you can build like-minded folks that want to know
Mm,
how are our students getting taken care of when it comes to the use of AI.
that's great. That's great advice. Can you help parents, some of us who are very anxious and like want to know, can you help us understand what are schools actually dealing with and why in our work context it feels like there's like this push for AI, but what's happening at schools? Why do they feel like they are just slower in adopting these process?
I think it's the way education has evolved over the years. When I want to say, like, when I first started schooling, a lot of my friends very similar is like in California, especially, is like one parent could work and the other one could stay at home, or
Mm,
vice versa. Not it didn't need to be two parents working all the time.
yeah,
We've gotten to a stage where almost every household, both parents are always working. So then a lot of the reliance became the school's going to take care of my kid. The school's going to take care of my kid,
yeah,
as opposed to like, no, we're supposed to take care of the kid together. It's a community. And so I think from the school perspective, they're like, well, I have to make sure my students are, universal design for learning. Did I do everything I was supposed to make sure every student was supported? So in a classroom of 30 kids, that becomes difficult, especially if you're trying to balance it out. If this student came with a bruise, I now have to call DCFS, which they should, but now that
yeah,
adds to it layer. The other part is there's new initiatives coming in from the district office or even from the principal. Is like, I got to implement this now. And then the other aspect, I think, in today's world where everything's become very political, it's like the respect factor has been taken away from educators, and so that becomes
mm,
more and more of a challenge. It becomes more of a, well, they're not agreeing with me. Teachers may be thinking, hey, they're not agreeing with me. Maybe they're being combative with me when that might not be the case, or vice versa. A teacher may ask the parents like, hey, what's going on? And the parent may take it as a combative way. And so I think that's everything being thrown together makes it a little
yeah.
bit more difficult for teachers to focus on making sure the academic needs of our students are being met.
I see. So you're really painting a very different picture, I think, that maybe some of us might have of a teacher, because we think that the teacher is just there to teach the ABC, not literally, but you know
Yeah,
what I
yeah,
mean, right? But it sounds as though they are dealing with district initiatives. You said leadership and principal
mhm,
initiatives. They are dealing with individual student cases, emotional cases.
yeah,
There's just so much that's on their plate that it's not, if I were a parent, then it's almost like you have to really understand the teacher's context
yeah,
before I start just getting like super frustrated with like, why don't you just introduce
yeah.
Gemini
Right.
in the
Let's do it.
classroom? Just do
Yeah,
it,
let's do
you
it.
know?
It's
Yeah.
easy, right?
Yeah,
It
and it's
can't be that
easy.
hard.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right, right, right. I
yeah,
think that that could be some of the feeling, that people in the community have. Like, why aren't we moving
yeah.
on this?
And that's fair. And I think
Yeah,
the other aspect too, it's like I shared my concerns with my daughter and the fear of her entering information in wrong. It's
yeah,
if a teacher opens up Gemini, we have to make sure they all use it right, and we have monitor
yes,
and work with them
yes,
and guide them. And so, how do we do that right now? Teachers are in what, a 6 hour plus day of just teaching before they even have to go to grade or to write the test or go to a meeting. It's all the added stuff that I think, like me being, this is my biases as a former classroom teacher. It's the day doesn't end when the students leave
yeah,
because every teacher I know is essentially a parent in their mind where they now are over if elementary school up to 35 kids, high school, middle school, high school up to 200 kids where when they go home their brain doesn't shut off work. Like some
yeah,
folks have that privilege is I do my 9 to 5, my 8 to 5, I go home,
yeah,
I don't have to think about work. The
yeah,
teacher will still go home and think about did I do the best I could for all my kids today?
yeah,
I wish I could have done this little thing better or that little thing better or did Johnny
yeah,
need extra food? Did I take care of him? So it becomes one of those teachers are the parent of so many kids that it becomes so difficult for them to sometimes
yeah,
make sure everything's like if they could focus on just teaching, I think they would. But honestly, I know teachers don't do that. They
yeah.
do they take care of the kid as a whole.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely. Someone said to me once that teaching's the only job in the world where you have to actually prepare so much before you actually come and do the
Yep.
job.
Hmm.
And as a former teacher myself, that 1,000% tracks. So I appreciate you just sharing more color around what teachers are dealing with in the classroom. I hope that it will create some empathy and compassion for some of us parents who are just really chomping at the bit to
Yeah.
say, prepare my kids for this
Yeah.
next stage of like AI explosion or
Yeah.
what
And
have
every
you.
single teacher I know for
Yeah.
a fact, they're doing the best they can
Yeah.
to prepare students.
Yes.
And sometimes it's not enough. And sometimes families feel like it's too much. And so where do we
Yeah.
find that balance? And that's where I think as a parent, work with your teachers as best as you can.
Yeah.
Whether and it like send them an email or a text sometimes just saying thank you. That's all they need sometimes. And
Mhm.
that would help them out
Mhm.
so much. And that will help build those relationships. So that way you also feel comfortable as a parent to ask questions more.
Yeah. Yeah. That is. It's an important piece when you're sort of navigating uncertainty, right? Having a close relationship with one another. Dr. Huang, you had shared that teachers need some guidance or like a framework of how
Mhm.
to safely implement Gemini.
Yeah.
Are there frameworks or best practices in place when it comes to teaching teachers how to safely implement AI? Can you share with parents just
Yeah.
some of the color on that? Yeah.
Yeah. So yes and no. So there are a
Okay.
lot of resources out there, but
Okay.
there's no uniform resource. Like nationally,
Uh,
there's no uniform resource.
okay.
Statewide, there might be something that the state of California shares. I know every state has something. Like Tennessee has something, North Carolina, Texas, everyone has something.
Okay.
But when it comes to like LA or California specific, LA is really up to each of the school districts on how they want to do it. They have a lot of
Okay.
autonomy.
Okay.
Us at I know the county office of ed, LA County Office of ed, we've developed a guideline that's built around change management because that's essentially what it is how do we change a little thing to be successful across everything? And it's, hey, let's create a pilot. Let's bring some teachers together, help them learn it, help them understand it, help us think as a school admin, help us think, hey, what else do we need? How else can we make this make sense for our kids?
Mm,
And then slowly expand and build upon those.
I see.
The other resources I've seen, like for a parent, Common Sense Media is one of the best websites I can recommend.
Okay.
Common Sense Media, it's a nonprofit. What they're known for is 1 week in October every year. It's called Digital Citizenship Week. They were the ones that helped start Digital Citizenship Week just because folks weren't aware of the digital footprint they had. They weren't aware what it meant to go online and like if I posted a picture about myself, that it would exist where it's helping kids understand that digital landscape
Mm.
better. And as a parent, you can also go there and they give you all sorts of resources. They'll say, hey, this AI tool rated 7 out of 10 on safety, and these are why. This
Oh.
tool rated 10 out of 10, and this is why. And it's not just that, it's also if you want lessons to work with your kids, like a jumping point, like, hey, if you're a parent and you want to talk to your kid about AI, start here.
Mm.
Or if there's a technology tool out there, you want more questions and research, we've done research for you. Check here. Or books. Like it goes through and looks at everything a student would potentially touch.
Okay, that's good. We'll be sure to post that information on our website. But Common Sense Media,
Yeah.
specifically the Digital Citizenship Week
Mhm.
content. I'm curious to know, if a parent were to come to you tomorrow and said, "I don't know where to start," Common Sense Media, or do you have other recommendations
Oh,
when
the
it
easiest
comes to
start?
AI implementation? Yeah.
Easiest start, talk to your kid first and see what they know.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
which blows my mind, Dr. Wong
Yeah.
or Christopher, if I could
Yeah.
speak to you as
Yeah.
a
Yeah. You're
parent.
fine.
Yeah.
You start with your kids, see
Okay.
what they do know. Because there's two things that I've learned. I've moderated many student panels, and this is what I've learned from the student panels. One is the kids assume the parents know what's going on, and vice versa. The parents assume the kids know what's going on, but neither of them are talking to each other.
Okay.
So ask your kid
Interesting.
first what they know.
Okay.
And then from there, that's where I would go. I would start, Common Sense Media is where I would most likely start just as a parent.
Okay.
As an educator, I would start with the school and ask the school is like, hey, what resources do you have on helping my son, my daughter on the use of AI?
I see. Okay. I mean that's I think that's powerful. I'm making a very general statement about the Asian American community,
Yeah.
but growing up we did not talk.
Nope.
I did not talk. I just listened to my parents. Like
Hmm.
that's sort
Yep.
of sort
Yes.
of the context, but you are calling us to do something different. Generally speaking, I know this is not the case for every Asian American family, but as a community, you're asking us to actually dig into and have these conversations with our kids.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to know, what is the difference between teaching a child to use AI well versus teaching them to depend on it? Can you help us navigate that conversation?
I mean, it's the simplest thing. It's going back to my consuming versus creating comment.
Okay.
If my child is sitting in front of it and just typing and just looking up answers, that helps me do no good.
Okay.
But my child's typing, but asking questions and asking the AI to ask questions back, that forces that critical thinking aspect.
Okay.
So one of the things you can do, so there's a couple different rules with AI. So I'm going to share the main rules with AI I have. It's one, never use it for something you don't know.
Mm,
So if you have zero knowledge of it, don't use AI, because what you're now assuming is whatever the AI generates is 100% accurate. And that's a fallacy we have. It's not.
okay.
It's like the history books. History books are all written by the victors, is what they say.
Yes.
AI is written by all the programmers and all the notes and everything that are predominantly European or Caucasian centric. So just
Okay.
male centric too. So be mindful of that.
Yeah.
So don't use AI for something you don't know. And then AI is a people pleaser. Everything it says and responds, it wants to make you happy. So you have to limit that. And the easiest way I do is like, I want whatever prompt or whatever you type into is like, I want you to challenge whatever I say.
Okay.
Right? Simple. It's like, hey, can you give me like I want you to challenge whatever I asked you by asking me questions back. So if I say, hey, can you give me the foundation, or not the foundation, can you tell me when the United States was established? And so if done right, the AI was like, okay, based on this, this is where it was founded. Why do you want to know why it was founded?
Mm,
And then you can talk to him and then it'll start asking you questions back.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like, just having discussion. This is a
Mhm.
theme that keeps coming up, I think, in our conversation to engage discussion with the schools, with the teachers, to
Yeah.
engage discussion with your own children, and now to also engage in discussion with AI.
Yeah.
Should we be modeling this for our kid? Like, is it ever
Always.
appropriate for me to say, come stand by my side and literally watch me navigate this? Like,
Yep. Always.
always. Okay.
Always. Because
Okay.
there's two different things that happen. Is one, it's the student or your child might say, hey, that's not how I've used it. And then you can learn how they use it. And two, you're modeling good behavior so then they can mimic you.
Okay. In general, I think that the Asian American community, we're perfectionists.
We are.
It sounds as though you are really asking us to put that aside, to say that it's okay to admit we're still learning this, we're
Yeah.
still navigating this.
Yeah. It's absolutely okay. The other way I think of perfectionism is analysis by paralysis.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Is we just keep trying to get better and trying to perfect something that we just get stuck.
Yes.
And as a parent, we can't perfect a kid. We can't perfect our parenting style. We won't know anything about where a kid will be until 20 years down the line, right? Like by the time our kid's grown, that's when it's like, oh, this is what I helped create. This is what I helped raise. This is who I helped raise and get them to where they needed to be. And they became a good human being, which is all I wanted.
Yes.
But they didn't have to be perfect the whole way through. Like they were just learning. And so if you give the kid the opportunity to learn and grow, that's all you need. And us as parents from the Asian community, especially, it's just because we were raised that way doesn't
Mm,
mean we can't challenge the way we're raised.
yeah. Oh, that's powerful. That's going to be something that goes on Twitter, or not Twitter. I'm so old.
Yeah, you're okay.
On X, right? Like, I feel as though it's so easy to fall into those traditional parenting patterns of the way that I
Yeah,
was raised and to just tell my kid what to do.
yeah.
But to have conversation and to encourage them to watch us figure it out and also at the same time
Mhm.
figure it out themselves, that is a different way of parenting. Can you had shared earlier, we had talked a little bit about, the traditional pathway that was given to us in our generation of go to a good college, get a stable job. As someone who followed, clearly you are academically very accomplished. You are a high achiever. How do you and your partner think about preparing your daughter? What pathway are you encouraging her to take?
So it's very straightforward and simple. It's we don't know what's going to happen,
Okay.
and we're not going to control that pathway.
Okay.
All we're going to do as parents is provide her the structure necessary to be a successful adult. I want to give my kid all the options in the world. So, and every good school, every good educator, every great parent, everyone, we all want the same thing. We want our kids to be
Mhm.
successful as best as possible. And so for me, it's we don't talk about the future too much. Like my daughter, it's like, what do you want to be in the future? She's like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, great. Can you just make sure for right now that you treat people well and that you do
Mm.
the best you can in school? And we intentionally say treat people well first and best in school second, because if I flip it, then her focus will be academics. And I think that's where no offense to the Asian culture, but I feel like that's where my perfectionism came from is
Yes.
if we talk about academics first,
Yes.
people second. If
Yes.
we flip it, then we understand it's like, I want to be a good human being. And so long as I tried my best, I'm okay. And I think that's the part where like my mom, she knew I tried my best, but it was hard for her to articulate, hey, just the simplest thing for I don't know, for some parents is like, I'm proud of you or I love you and you did a good job. That's it. So I just make sure I tell my kid, hey, did you try your best? If she says yes, I'm like, then great. I'm proud of you. Good job.
That's incredible. I love that so much, Dr. Hoang. What did you as a parent have to cultivate in order to move away from that achievement focus? Many of us are still locked into that. And I agree with you. That's where my perfectionism really came into, is constant performance.
I think for me, it was getting out of an echo chamber. I hate to say it that way. Is like when we make friends with people who are similar to us.
Mm-hmm.
And so they reinforce everything we say or vice versa. Or when we go on social media or when we go on Facebook, Instagram, everything is we are liking and following things that are similar or things we relate to.
Yeah.
And so what I've done for myself, I challenge myself is I go out there and I talk to people that I wouldn't normally agree with.
Mm.
And I try to learn their perspective. And by learning their perspective, it helps me become better one at what I'm trying to do.
Mm.
And also helps them give me feedback on it's like, hey, I know she tried too hard here. Had you just done this little thing, it would have been so much better. And you don't have to worry too much about it. And I think that helped a lot. And then the other one was had really great mentors that just basically said, you don't have to be a perfectionist. You just have to be the best you can be.
Mm.
What that looks like, it's up to you. But if you're stuck on perfectionism all the time, then you're never going to move forward in life.
Yeah. 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 Oh, that's great. That's excellent. I appreciate you sharing that. You're asking us to be uncomfortable,
Yep.
and to have uncomfortable conversations with others and with ourselves. And, but to position it as a way to better yourself, I think is incredibly powerful. Um, in these final two questions, Dr. Huang, when you think about what AI might change for your daughter, is there anything that you are trying to hold on to that is traditional? Um, in this
Yeah.
ever-changing
I
world.
want her
Yeah.
to understand where she's coming from. I do want her to understand her culture. So my daughter is she's
Okay.
half Asian, half Hispanic. And
Okay.
our focus is we want her to understand both cultures.
Mm.
Because by understanding your own culture, first and foremost, you have an understanding of who you are. And that's identity, especially if you become a teen.
Mm.
That's super solid and super critical. Is if I don't know who I am, I don't know where I want to go.
Mm.
And so that's the first and foremost. So we always want to make sure that she understands her culture. She might be bored about it sometimes. She might be frustrated at sometimes. But ultimately, I want her to understand it's like, you look, you're Vietnamese. This is the Vietnamese culture. This is what we do. This is how we do things. Like Lunar New Year's, this is why we do it. When there's
Mm.
a funeral, when someone passes, this is why we wear white.
Yeah.
This is why we pray. Like on her Hispanic side, it's like when someone passes, this is why we pray 9 days or something.
Mm.
I want her to understand it because by understanding culture, you understand the world a little bit better. It's
Yeah.
like not all of us can travel, but it helps us understand perspectives beyond if you can understand your culture and start to learn another culture as much as possible. I think with technology itself, I I can't control that. And I'm not going to control that. I'm just going to trust that as a dad, I will do the best I can to show her how to use technology right and
Mm.
well and meaningfully and let her decide. I think I work with a lot of educators, and there are a lot of educators that are very hesitant to use artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
And I understand, like, there's concern about cheating, they're concerned about the environmental impacts, they're concerned about ethical impacts. And there's one thing I tell them that changes their mindset. It's at the end of the day, us as adults right now, we have the privilege and opportunity to say no to using AI or yes to using AI. Our kids do not have the opportunity, and it's an injustice if we don't at least help them understand how to use
Oh,
it.
wow. Yeah. Yeah. I've never thought about that. You're right. We have a privileged opportunity to choose that. And our kids will definitely
I
walk
don't know.
into a
Yeah,
world where that will be their reality. Or they're already,
they're
are you
already in
agree?
it.
We're
Yeah.
already there. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Dr. Huang.
Yeah.
Can I ask you one final question? what does courage mean to you in this moment?
I think it's been a little bit of the theme throughout our conversation today. It's one, you have to be willing to listen to
Mm,
others. And I think this is the most challenging part for humans. We are all very defensive. If someone says something, we're already trying to articulate a counterpoint to whatever they're trying to say.
mm, mhm,
At the end of the day, I think if you trust that everyone means well and you listen and you truly listen, that changes everything. And by truly listening is sometimes pay attention. It's like, are they asking for your help or do they need to just vent? That's
mm,
part of the listening. If they need to just vent, don't solve it for them, just let them vent. So I
mm.
think if you can listen actively and engaged with the person, that's going to be one of the greatest things in the world. And then the other thing is we have to become very comfortable with being uncomfortable because of how fast AI is moving, how fast technology is moving. We don't know where everything is going. Right now, everything is based on conjectures or guesses on what the next big thing is.
Yeah,
So we just have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable and accept that things are going to change.
yeah.
And some changes will be great and some change will not be great. But we have to be willing to take and move forward with change.
Great. Thank you. Thanks for joining me on this episode of Courage Class. I hope today's conversation gave you a little encouragement and inspiration. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. And for extra motivation, tools, and behind the scenes content, sign up for my newsletter. I'd love to share with you more there. See you next time. All right, and now for the legal language. Courage Class with Dr. Lindsay Kwok Hugh and content posted by Dr. Lindsay Kwok Hugh is presented solely for general informational, educational, and entertainment purposes. The use of information on this podcast or materials linked from this podcast or website is at the user's own risk. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or other qualified professional diagnosis or treatment. Users should not regard or delay in obtaining medical advice for any medical or mental health condition they may have and should seek the assistance of their healthcare professional for any such conditions.